What's up guys, today we're going over the Fang of Ehroar, which is the scout rifle from Crota's Inn, and this weapon is so close to being the perfect gun for my favorite build in the entire game. And in this video we'll be going over what that role is and why I think this scout is surprisingly really good and worth your time. So this is a 260 RPM strand scout. Looking at the left column perks, you could use something like shoot to loot or even something like rewind rounds. Both would be good perks in the right situation, but for myself, I would go with a more traditional reload perk, such as Keep Away, Rapid Hit, or Surplus. My favorite out of the three would be Surplus, because I think Rapid Hit just falls off too fast. It's mostly a perk where you have to reload the second after hitting your rapid precision hits. If you don't, it falls off just like that. But Surplus, as long as you have like one ability, which I find myself almost always having, you'll get a bump up in a lot of stats, including reload. And more often than not, when I'm playing with this weapon on the build you'll see in this video, I usually have two, so this definitely maxes out my reload speed almost at all times, and so it's always there and ready to go. Then moving on to the right column, once again, you could use a lot of these on this list. For damage perks, you have High Ground, which will only be 20%, Precision Instrument, which will be 25%. Then you have Sword Logic, which for the most part will be 15 or 25% if you kill a minor and a major. But in the right situation, if you're killing a mini boss or boss, it could go up to 35 and 50. So depending on what you're doing, Sword Logic could be very good. And I kind of rate it equal to that of Kill Clip, which Kill Clip is only 25% also. So the Sword Logic generally will be about the same as Kill Clip, but have a higher upside in the right situation, and the perk will last longer, so I'll definitely give it a thumbs up there. But honestly, I think the most interesting damage perk on this weapon would be Golden Tricorn, because of the fact that this is a strained weapon. In the build I'll be using this weapon on, I think Golden Tricorn will have nearly 100% uptime on its full damage buff. If you get a kill with the weapon, it goes to 15, but then if you get a kill with one of your strained abilities, it will go up to 50%, and in the gameplay loop that I'm going to be doing with this thing, I think that'll be basically all the time. And finally, the last perk on this weapon that makes me super excited for it is going to be Hatchling, where Precision Final Blows will create a thread lane, and like usual, we have Thread of Evolution to increase the travel range and damage of these thread lanes, but we also have Thread of Rebirth for a chance of strained weapons to create a thread lane on Final Blows. But then also in the artifact this season, we have another one that does the same thing. So whenever you get a precision kill with Hatchling on this weapon, you're guaranteed to get one thread lane, if not two or even three. More often than not, you'll find yourself creating two per precision final blow, which is really good. And of course, like all the Crota weapons, the origin trait is Cursed Thrall, which makes it so once you get a melee final blow, every single kill will cause a Cursed Thrall explosion. And with this being a strained weapon, pairing this with grapple on any strained subclass works really well. You go in and grapple melee, and you get Cursed Thrall. Then you go crazy with the scout, and by the time the Cursed Thrall origin trait runs off, more likely with Thread of Generation, you'll have your grenade back, and you just do it again. So as you can probably imagine where I'm going with my favorite grapple build on Warlock, which I've made multiple videos on and used it multiple times, just mousing over all the things in the build. I will link the dim build in the description, but looking at this, I think this is the perfect build for the scout. The scout was almost made for this build because the way the Cursed Thrall origin trait works, where you have to get melee final blows, unless you're playing a melee build on Titan or even Hunter, but mostly on Warlock, you kind of have to go out of your way to proc this origin trait on most builds and subclasses. But with the strained grapple build, that is kind of like the core part of the entire build, and the gameplay loop works extremely well. Just go in with your grapple melee to proc the Cursed Thrall origin trait. Then from there, all the kills with the scout and the Cursed Thrall explosions count towards Verdi's Brow and the death throws ×5, which will help you get your next grapple back faster and make your next grapple melee do double damage. And usually for this build, I use the Immortal with Demo. Then this season, a lot of times if there are champions, I throw on the Run AR. And finally, now the scout is also a real option. So in this video, I wanted to kind of see which one is better for just like base DPS, to see which one pumps out damage more. And I think this might kind of surprise you guys. So with the scout first, shooting off the entire mag, looking at the damage of one shot versus a red bar, took 3.7 seconds. Doing the same thing with the AR. This time I'm going to shoot off 30 bullets, hitting for 2011. It's going to be a little bit quicker, a lot quicker, at 2.4 seconds. And finally doing the same thing with the SMG. Usually I use the SMG for easier content, AR for harder. And now I will also throw the Scout into that same category of using it for harder content depending on the champions. So the DPS, the SMG won by a little bit, which isn't too surprising, but the surprising part is the Scout is actually in second place ahead of the 720 RPM auto rifle. So overall, not only does the Scout make a lot of sense in grapple melee builds on Strand, with the fact that you can easily proc the Cursed Origin trait, and then while playing on Warlock with the Verity's Brow build, all the kills with the Scout and the Cursed Origin trait feed into death throws, making it so you always have that ×5 perk. But it's also one of the higher DPS primaries in the game, not that far behind a 720 RPM SMG, and for the range that a Scout provides, that is not bad at all. So overall, the roles I'd be going for on this weapon, I think all the roles I would be going with Surplus in the left. Then I'd be making probably just two, one with Hatchling, then another one with Golden Tricorn. I think as you see with the Verity's build, the way you would do the grapple melee, then use the Scout for a few seconds, and grapple melee back and forth, I think you would have 100% uptime on Golden Tricorn with that 50% buff, and that might outweigh the extra threadlings. So I'm definitely looking forward to trying that out once I get one, because I think it could be really, really good. And overall, the reason this is not the perfect weapon for this build, it's so close, is because it doesn't have demo in the left. Some of the other Crota weapons have demo on the left column perks, but this one doesn't. I wish it did. If it did, I would say this would be the perfect weapon for the grapple build. But Surplus isn't that bad, and having such an overall versatile weapon with Cursed Roll on it is definitely very good. Anyways, I think that's me it for the video. Let me know what role you want down below. The rest of the video will just be some gameplay with what has quickly became my all-time favorite build. Like usual, thanks for watching. Catch you guys next time.